Greetings, people of Earth. Welcome back. My name is Jax, and today we're talking about overstimulation. This is essentially going to be like a podcast episode because there's no video for this video. I wanted to talk about this for a while, and I thought the idea of not overstimulating you with visuals and a background and my beautiful face, I thought it might be a fun way to do it. Plus, I just got my hair done and it needs a few days to settle, and so this is the perfect time to talk about overstimulation. Now, obviously, in our world, overstimulation is a huge problem. We are absolutely inundated with sound and noise and bright visuals, very attractive advertisements that people spend billions of dollars on, political commentary that gets us freaked out about the future or the past, and we're just completely consumed by things like this. So the idea of really taking a step back is hugely appealing, and it's also been the subject of a huge amount of advertising and meditation apps and touching grass and disconnecting. And so even disconnecting has become its own industry. And I guess that's a part of our capitalist world, and you can go on about how it's so oppressive and we're all slaves and blah, 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 blah. But I'm not really interested in playing the victim or trying to have some kind of scapegoat, because in reality, we are all our own captains of our ships, and we get to absolutely choose what we endeavor to go through and put ourselves through. So that being said, overstimulation is one of those things that is a constant problem in our society, but it literally is so simple to fix. And it's one of those things where, we all know the advice, we all know the wives' tales and the advice your mom would give you, and we know that advice is true, but following through with it is the real hard part. It's like we all know that smoking is bad for you and that sugar isn't great and you should exercise and you should get 8 hours of sleep. But the reality and the practical application of that advice can be really hard to deal with because we live in a world of gray, not black and white. So that being said, in order to fix overstimulation, you just have to disconnect. And I recently talked about disconnecting and how helpful I found it over the month of September. But it really can't be overstated how nice it is and how much of a human you feel after disconnecting from this fake, hyper busy world. I think something that really hit me a few weeks ago was a statistic that said that over 50% of the content we are now engaging with on the internet is artificial intelligence or just bots. So odds are 50% of the time when you're angry at someone on X or you see a piece of content that makes you feel a certain way, it's actually fake content. It's created to make you feel a certain way or motivate you to buy a certain thing or do a certain thing. And that's crazy. The idea that 50% of the internet is now dedicated to content that is specifically motivated to manipulate you in some way, shape, or form. I've had a real problem with YouTube Reels recently. I don't know if a lot of you use them or not. I post occasionally on YouTube Reels, but whenever I go onto them, I find it's just filled with AI generated content. And the thing that really annoys me, and maybe it's just my special brand of autism, but the thing that really bugs me about these reels is that the voices often mispronounce the characters or the things. I read a lot of fantasy books and different things like that, and these AI generated voices always mispronounce them incorrectly. Even reels about Harry Potter or something will say Hermione instead of Hermione. And this just infuriates me so much. And I additionally hate it because I know that a genuinely real creator is probably making videos that actually have a lot of care and preparation and work put into them. And yet these stupid AI ones are getting thousands and thousands of views. And they're just created in some factory shop, and no, the person typing the content and then it gets created by AI doesn't actually care about the content it's creating. It's just doing it on a mass creation so that it soaks up all the views. And as a result, I don't actually watch YouTube Reels anymore. I find that even Instagram and TikTok, although equally as toxic and difficult for certain reasons, have a lot less of this AI generated content. And maybe it's just my algorithm on these different websites and how it varies, but it's again just another symptom of overstimulation. A good example of this is that I've just explained how I dislike YouTube Reels, and yet I'll probably spend a good 10 to 15 minutes a day watching them until I catch myself watching them. And I think to myself, I hate these things. Why am I watching it? They got me. And it's such a frustrating thing. And I think it's a very common problem in our world today. So this is my short little rant, hopefully not too much of a rant. But anyway, my short little diatribe on overstimulation and why I think we have to be so careful and disconnect as often as we can. I think one thing that makes me feel better about this is that the younger generation and people across the world, regardless of their generation, are starting to really adapt and get around to the idea of dumb phones. You know, the phones from the early 2000s that didn't have internet, that just allowed texting and phone calls. Those are sounding better every single day, and social media is sounding less and less appealing. I think a lot of us are getting sick and tired of it. It'll be interesting to see how it shrinks in our daily lives. Hopefully that's the case. I don't want it to expand into our daily lives. It already takes up way too much of my daily life. Anyway, thank you guys for listening. I hope you like this style. I'm actually going to be doing a podcast in the coming weeks/months. So if this style or this kind of idea is interesting to you, I will include some information about my future podcast. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you're having a beautiful day, week, month, year, whatever you're having. I hope it's amazing. And as always, I will talk to you guys tomorrow.